Hi, tonight we're going to talk about enlightenment, spiritual awakening, or being born again. Enlightenment, awakening, or being born again is a surrender to the flow of life, not a defeat or abandonment, but a realization that everything is perfect as it is, correct, and should be trusted. That means we stop going against the flow with our mind and simply are present in the moment. When we go from one problem or from one outcome, good or bad, to the next, we miss the importance and significance of what is happening right now in this very minute. That means we are witnessing in consciousness or in a state where everything actually exists in authenticity, and we accept the state as being true. We are not analyzing our minds, so we can't be dishonest, double-dealing, unfair, or deceptive, because the moment means letting go of all attachments and beliefs about ourselves and others. The more we are in the space of awareness, the more we experience a subtle energy that has many names: soul, spirit, consciousness, true or higher self, or Shakti. It has nothing to do with becoming healthier, superior, or higher, because those are just the symptoms as we remove the deceptions, the facade of misinformation. We are not changing or becoming another person, because we are just realizing who we really are and have always been, which is a consciousness with a mind and a body. Lao Tzu said, knowing others is wisdom. Knowing yourself is enlightenment. Being born again, awakening, or enlightenment is a realization of who we already are, and not a change or construction of what we want to be. This is not a dimension or level that we have to achieve, because it is not a matter of doing, but simply an awakening, being who we are. The ego tries to get us to attain, to earn, to gain enlightenment. But we can't execute to obtain this state, as it is a consequence of just being in consciousness. Awakening lacks the thoughts we have in our spiritual immaturity, because we don't imagine, construct, or cause it, because it is continually, endlessly, so we just have to discover it. A man once asked Buddha how to become happy, and he replied, first remove the I, which is the ego. Then remove the desires. It has us run after in a continuous loop. Then you are left with only happiness. Thich Nhat Hanh says, enlightenment, joy, and peace can never be given to you by another. The well is inside you. Jesus said, be still and know that I am God, in Psalm 46:10, where he is telling us to rest and relax in God, which is everything. It is a wake-up call to enlightenment, where our unit consciousness merges with the collective consciousness. He is telling us, snap out of the ego mind and relax in our greater consciousness that is a part of everything. Be in awe and be born again. This awe is our refuge, our safe place or condition in times of danger or trouble that gives us strength in stillness, not in reaction. It stops fear so we can acknowledge that God is with us, inside us. Therefore, God is us, male or female. Stop striving to be still. God is not an idea, so drop all thinking. Stop doing, striving, or desiring one thing for another. In the beginning of the phrase, third person is used to show duality, he, she, it, or they. And in the second part, the first person is used to show unity, which is I or we. There's only one God that dwells, you can tell by the person by looking at the verb. That's how you can tell third person and first person. There is only one God that dwells in everyone's consciousness. The first commandment is, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have strange gods before me. All gods are one God, so drop all thoughts that separate and divide. St. Augustine said, God loves each of us as if there were only one of us. Shakespeare said, God has given you one face, and you make yourself another. Confucius said, heaven means to be one with God. Once we are born again, we feel we are consciousness, watching our thoughts, mind, and emotions rise and fall in the melodrama of life as we witness comfortably in awareness. We choose to hang out with our true self, consciousness, and not with our physical irritations and mental disruptions in our inner space. We don't get rid of our problems. They are still there, but they don't complicate our life because we choose not to entangle with their energy by identifying with them. Instead, we take care of them step by step. When the time is right, this is living in spirit, our intrinsic nature, while dealing with disruptions from our higher self, which is the essence of freedom, peace, and happiness. When we taste the ecstasy of our inner consciousness, we live in this world like children, not touched by it, but transcended above it. Jesus said, truly I say unto you, unless you turn and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 18, 3-4. This is heaven on earth. So we have to deal with duality, opposites, the positive and negatives of life. But innocent, like children, we transcend above them in unity. Enlightenment does not mean we avoid the negatives and problems and just concentrate on the positives and bliss in life. We have a spiritual experience, taste the bliss and light. Then we go into the darkness in the world with the light and make it aware and conscious by being light. To live an enlightened life, we have to deal with the negatives. But with light, we seem to dispel darkness and solve problems by seeing the whole picture. We are just spiritual beings having a human experience for a short time, so we can have problems without stressing out. William Blake said, enlightenment means taking full responsibility for your life. Wayne Dyer said, enlightenment demands that you take responsibility for your way of life. We all have a spirit and a soul, that is clear. That is clear light, a pure energy concentrated in consciousness, so we can train our body and refine our mind to experience it. Step by step, little by little, we move on our path to our inner divinity and to manifest our natural, inborn, deep-seated intuition. Our spirit is always with us, so small enlightenments bring big enlightenment as we become more aware in the moment. The biggest step is to realize we are not the ego, but we have an ego to get things done on the physical plane. So we use it as a tool. The ego pushes us to be born again, to discover enlightenment, but once enlightened, we realize there is nothing to discover, that we were always enlightened in the soul. Thich Nhat Hanh says, enlightenment is growing all the time. It is not something that happens once and is then complete. A Zen proverb about accepting the present moment is, before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. This just tells us to be present in the moment while doing whatever has to be done. Thank you.